friends, the pioneers of the independent networks. I'm your host, Ricky Blues. This is your co-host, Lord Timothy Walker. And Tim, we're welcoming everybody back
Welcome back.
for the season premiere, the season 8 premiere.
8 years we've been doing this.
We've got over 150 episodes over the last 7 seasons. And that's not including all the little vignettes that we've done. So, man, we have moved into, different status.
So we are beginning season number 8.
Season number 8.
It only seems like 10.
I'm, for our fans, it probably only seems like season 10. I think he just said we drag on.
No.
Well, friends, if you've joined us in the past, you know that we bring to you all the characters, the matches, the promotions, those feuds that populate the Mid-Atlantic independent wrestling scene. We like to say for a lot of decades, we'll say since the 1970s. What do you think?
That's
that
fair.
work? All right. So that's how we're going to frame it from the 1970s until today. So welcome aboard. We're glad to have you here for season 8. We got a few surprises this season, some interesting things. We've changed the decor around thanks to our office assistant, Amber.
Thank you, Amber.
And Lord Timothy, Amber, our office assistant, has done one other thing. She's dragged us, kicking and screaming, into the current century. You know how she's done that? She's taken all of our scattered YouTube pages, our Facebook pages, created an Instagram page, and has now put it all together as one-stop shopping experience for our friends and fans to make it a little easier on how you want to navigate your social media. I think that's pretty great. So thank you, Amber. Hats off, and that'll be unveiled as we move through season 8.
That's impressive.
It is. It only took us, seven seasons to get here, to get it all collected.
Good job, Amber.
Yep. And she's also telling us, which I think is pretty fascinating, we like to throw little things out on our table here as we present, that we may be moving into a store as well, so that if you wanted to buy pin paraphernalia, like the logo on a shirt or the books that we've done over the years, including Gilbert's autobiography or To Kill the Town, those things, that's going to soon be available to our fans.
Will we have more issues of To Kill the Town?
So more issues as in hardbacks or softbacks to sell, or are you talking about the next chapter?
Both.
Well, the answer to that in a simple way is yes and yes. So we're going to work with some publishers to get an updated version of it printed,
Great.
as well as in the near future, and usually takes about a year and a half, for me anyway, there should be a second portion to that about the years after that we've covered, all in the independents in the Mid-Atlantic.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Exactly.
I've always wanted to share that book with one of my friends. So now if it's in print again, I'll be able to get another copy.
You'll be able to have that ability to do that.
Great.
Tim, another one of the things that we're going to do this season is go into the podcast field. I mean, think about it. This show is already built for podcasting. We've got over 150 episodes in our library. And just think, everything that we do this season, we can convert automatically to a podcast, put it out there, stream the audio, and send our fans right back here to our Facebook channel or our Facebook webisode channel to watch any of the video that we mention in our podcast. So, like I said, it's only taken us 8 seasons to get to this point. So, knock on wood as we move forward. There's some really nice, neat things happening on the horizon for our fans.
Wow. I'm impressed.
All right, so Tim, to open our season, we're going to try a little something different.
Okay.
You know, in our research, we said everybody loves lists. They love to hear your list, and then they like to opine on the list that you create. So let's open season 8 with, now not stealing Alex Ovechkin's Great 8 line, but I think we could call this the season Great 8 list opener. What do you think?
Sounds like an idea to me.
And what topics should we address in our Great 8?
Well, I think it would be really neat if we looked at our top 8 villains.
Top 8 villains, because we're coming so close to Halloween.
I think that would be great. Yes.
We're actually coming to our folks about 10 days before Halloween, so that would be good. That's apropos for the time.
I'm getting to be in the holiday spirit.
Yes. And
maybe the top 8 independent promotions.
Independents only, or could we do territories? What do you think about the ruling with that?
Since the territories and the independents are so closely related, maybe let's do the top 8 non-corporate
Non-corporate. Oh, I like it. So that'll open the door for a territory or an indie.
Right.
I'm loving it. All right. So let's go ahead and get that started, Tim.
All right. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts about this.
I am too. This is
some really good back and forth, I think.
I think so as well, and I'm really interested in what the fans say about what we've picked in our opinions.
It'll be really interesting to see their opinions of our top 8, and it'll be really interesting to see what their top 8 is as well.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Well, without further ado, top 8 villains for Tim.
Boy, this is really difficult to narrow it down to just 8.
Right,
but
I agree.
I'll give it a try. Coming in at number 1 would be one of the people that I am most scared of. And he's been a guest on Pin before.
Oh, I know who this is. It's Andy Weinberg.
I didn't say the person whose neck I'd like to wring the most. I said the person I'm most scared of. That is a mean-looking person. A very stern-looking person. Someone who I think could probably throw me around and beat me to a bloody pulp.
And not in a favorable way.
Not in a favorable way either. And then ride off on a motorcycle laughing about it.
Probably someone from the Paradise Knife and Gun Club in the Bronx, New York. Is that?
Get that right.
He's on my list too.
It's Max Thrasher.
What an excellent villain. Good.
Because when I think about villains, I think about people that I'm legitimately
leery
of. I'm going to take a step back from them. Yeah, he's number 1 on my list.
All right, that's good. Give me another one.
Number 2. One of the most colorful individuals in independent wrestling. Someone that you know quite well. Someone's rough and tough. Nasty. The fans don't like him at all.
Well, I mean, I think I know who it is, but in this particular situation, I would have to say Bob Starr. But Bob, I'm only joking. You know I love you. But I think you're alluding to someone who I've feuded with very early.
You're right about that. And someone who's had a big feud in the Baltimore area with Nikolai Volkov in the past.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Someone who's conked you in the noggin a few times.
Whether it was with his Kevlar helmet, Billy Club at one time.
That's true.
And even had a chain or two and a chair or two wrapped around this noggin from that particular person.
Did you ever get the mist?
Oh, I got the mist several times. Thank goodness I loved Kool-Aid. Or when they changed it up and it was NyQuil.
Oh,
it put me right to sleep.
So it went from orange to green.
Orange to green.
We're talking about Agent Orange.
Agent Orange.
Do you know anybody that liked Agent Orange?
I mean, I like Bruce, but as the villain himself, whether he was in Pennsylvania, in Maryland, down for David Lehigh's Virginia, people hated him and wanted to see get his comeuppance, but he rarely did.
He rarely did.
He was that wily veteran. He did excellent work. Good choice.
People really didn't like him.
No, you're right.
And that's a really good sign of a good villain.
It is, because it transcends just that character.
And when you saw him coming out of the curtain, you just instantly took a disliking to him.
The way he presented himself. He did great. Did great as a villain.
It's a shame you like him in real life.
I know. I don't want him to beat me up anymore. So Lord Timothy out of the gate already. 2 great villains. How about a number 3?
Well, here's someone that no one really liked either.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily a wrestler, but a personality.
Ooh. Okay. I need a little more.
He managed a lot of wrestlers throughout the Mid-Atlantic area.
Okay.
He was a mainstay in UIW.
Okay.
He was a regular in Dick Karakoff's NWL.
Okay.
He also made appearances in the South Atlantic promotion. He also was an announcer at times.
Did he have a spangly earring?
He did. And he would carry a golf club with him. Kevin.
The Truth.
The Truth, Casey. But he didn't really seem to know a lot about the Truth.
No. His villainy superseded his propensity for truth.
Or justice. Or the American way.
Ask Dave the Wave. That's all I can tell you.
That's right.
What a great villain. What a great mind for getting his stable into a position that allowed them to excel. Whether it was Mike Kaluuya, whether it was Rasta, whether it was the Cream Team. I think he even had
Max Thrasher.
A standing with Max Thrasher and probably Jeff Collette as well. What a great talent. You're a great villain.
Great villain. But at the same time, he didn't overshadow his wrestlers.
No. You're right. He did exactly what he was supposed to. Was their mouthpiece that put them into positions to be elevated.
And he usually had some very good timing with the things that he did.
Yes. I agreed 100%. What an excellent choice.
People didn't like him.
No, I know. And I think it's because of the way that his character was presented, which means that he did what he was supposed to.
And the way he carried himself.
Right. You don't want people leaving the auditorium or the arena thinking, meh. You either love him or hate him. And that was what he did.
I think that meh is the worst thing.
It is.
That anyone could do. You either like someone or you don't. If you don't have a strong feeling either way, then that person's really not doing their job.
They're not doing their job. Well, Kevin Casey, you did your job, let me tell you. Excellent work, brother. So moving on down the line, give me your number 4. We're almost halfway there.
It's another person that people really didn't like.
Okay.
And someone's really familiar with you as well.
I tell you, I'm sensing a theme. Is it Beat Ricky Blues Up Day?
I think so. It's a very colorful character. A very flamboyant wrestler.
Was there lipstick? And lipstick was involved.
Oh.
And flowers.
Yes. And flowery costumes.
What a trendsetter. And reveal it, Tim.
One half of Beauty and the Beast. A great tag team wrestler. A great singles wrestler. Insatiable Adrian Hall.
A very underrated wrestler. Us in the business recognized what an incredible way to needle the fans, because it was a very uncomfortable topic. He presented the personification of not only androgynous, but the imagination moved to the side, and you're like, ooh, are they saying this or are they saying that?
And he had a mean streak to him as well. A sneaky, villainous, mean way about him.
Right.
No one raked the eyes quite like he did. It was like there was like something especially evil, like when he would do that, or a pull of the hair, or anything like that. The things that he would do behind the referee's back would just infuriate people to no end.
Yes.
And he loved to do it.
Yes, he did. He did. Again, a character that there was no middle ground. You either loved him or you hated him.
You hated him. There was no love there.
No,
Believe
no.
me.
Well, I don't know. Some people are very, very sadistic and masochistic and all those types of things, and they enjoy that. And if they did, then Adrian Hall was the personification of what they enjoyed because he was a villain. Good job.
Those people are behind bars now.
Yeah, they are. So, speaking about being behind the bars, where are we looking at? Where have you set the bar for number 5?
Wow. Number 5. One of my all-time favorites. King Kalua.
Oh,
Rarely have you ever seen him receive any cheers or requests for autographs.
Right.
That sort of thing. Very, very rarely. The consummate heel or villain wrestler, King Kalua. Everything he did was evil.
yes.
And he was so different from everybody else in the ring. With the beautiful robes, the colorful robes, the
face paint.
the face paint. Just everything was a little bit different, a little bit amplified. He was just really, really good at what he did.
I agree. Great pick.
Just the small things, too. A pull of the hair, a yank of the tights. Just something like that. It would just make you so angry.
He did what he was supposed to.
He did. He was great. It didn't matter if he was the opening match or the main event. Just a consummate professional. And he's another one that really knew how to carry himself.
Yes. And when you paired him with Kevin Casey, what a dynamite presentation.
Definitely.
It made people around them bring their game up to the next level.
And it seemed like they fed off each other.
Oh, yeah.
Between Kevin Casey and King Kalua.
Yes, 100%.
It just raises the bar that much more.
All right, Lord Timothy, you've given us a regal king in Mike Kalua. Who is your number 6?
Number 6 is probably just the opposite of wrestling royalty, Mike Kalua.
Okay.
My number 6 goes all the way back to the territory days.
Okay.
He's been everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Very underrated. One of my favorite villains from not only continental wrestling, but Smoky Mountain Wrestling as well. The Dirty White Boy.
I was going to say, Dirty White Boy, good job.
What a great villain. Just his work in Smoky Mountain alone was fantastic. I don't think Jim Cornette could have chosen a better heel to lead that promotion in the early 1990s.
And he did. He got a ton of pub in the mags with the work that he was doing. But it was something that you had to see in person because it was so damn good. It was just awesome.
Awesome work that he did. The work that he did with Tim Horner and Tracy Smothers. Just excellent. Some of those matches that he had with Tracy Smothers were just off the charts. Very underrated. And the fact that he could switch things up, and it just... One of my favorite things that he did was go on Smoky Mountain Television and claim that he had moved to New York and he had become a Yankee. And he wore the Yankees jersey and the Yankees baseball hat on television. You could tell people were just so upset and so angry with him. The fans would come up to Tracy Smothers before the match and they would say, do whatever you have to do, but really get that Yankee. Teach him his lesson. He deserves to learn a lesson. That's not right, him moving to New York and becoming a Yankee like that.
Well, the believability that's there when those things happen is what transcends time itself. I mean, think about it. We're talking 30 plus years ago, Tim. And it's that impactful. That man did more than his job with that. He quintessential villain.
And he could draw at the box office. Right. That Smoky Mountain territory would run 3 or 4 days a week. And you had to keep it fresh.
Right.
And he always came up with something new. And what a great wrestler who knew his craft and knew how to control the fans and just knew how to work a great match as a villain. Mm-hmm. And his manager, Ron Wright, in the wheelchair. Just perfect.
Set it off.
Set it off. I just loved to see Ron Wright actually pass off a foreign object to him, or the shenanigans that he would be up to at ringside. The fans actually believed that Ron Wright couldn't get out of that wheelchair. And it was a moment when he did. But what great work from the Dirty White Boy as one of the great heels of Southern wrestling.
Awesome pick. I'm almost afraid to go on to number 7 because how can you top that?
Number 7 on my list. Probably the youngest person on my list. Unfortunately, he's passed away now. But he leaves behind a great legend. Larry Sweeney. Mm-hmm. A great old-time character when he was surrounded with all kinds of different lucha libre type characters and masks and high flying and this new type of wrestling that we see now. And he's such a throwback and so good as such a great worker. And at one point, he even went to the Pacific Northwest to meet with Playboy Buddy Rose and Colonel De Beers and learn from them. And he learned from two of the greats, and he certainly incorporated what he learned as a heel. Another one of these fantastic talkers who you just loved to listen to, but you hated the message.
That's awesome, though. That is awesome. And obviously, indelible for you.
What a great wrestler. It was just amazing to see him incorporate all the old-time tricks in his repertoire. Mm-hmm. Foreign objects, powder, anything you could think of, he would use in a match. And the fact that he would have a match where the loser would get the middle of his back painted with yellow paint.
Wow.
Just to send the message as to who was the real coward in the feud. That was a real throwback. It was just fantastic. The things that he would do, he was so entertaining as a heel. And so good. The fact that he had a dance-off with Akeem. It's just so entertaining. Just amazing. The fact that he could have an arm wrestling match with a 10-year-old kid from the audience and let it go 15 minutes and be entertaining the whole time. It was amazing. And it was all off the cuff.
That's awesome. That's a heel that knows his craft.
He challenged anybody in the building to an arm wrestling match. And like an 8 or 10-year-old kid took him up on it and got in the ring with him. And they made it entertaining. Now tell me, you have no idea what you're working with when somebody from the crowd comes out like that.
Yep.
And to be an 8 or 10-year-old kid and you're able to maintain your character throughout the whole thing. One of the most entertaining things I've ever seen.
Tim, how are you going to round out your list?
Wow. I have so many people in mind, but I think I have to go with one of the most underrated tag teams in the Mid-Atlantic area. Very colorful, very flamboyant, very, very good. I always thought this team brought out the best in the Cream Team.
Was there a dollar sign involved?
There are a lot of dollar signs involved.
That's awesome.
And I think they were very, very underrated, and they don't get the credit that they deserve. I'm talking about the $1 Billion Babies.
Absolutely. GQ Stratus, Mike Sampson.
Excellent.
Yes. And you're right. If you look at the villainy that they inflicted throughout the Mid-Atlantic, it does. It harkens to say they were that next tier. They did. They were excellent. Even up in Savoldi's ICW, or back then I think it was the IWCCW?
Went by the IWCCW and
right.
ICW, yes.
So you're right. I agree 100%. Great picks.
And they were a really, really sneaky tag team. They knew when that referee had his attention somewhere else. They were perfect at it.
That's the Southern villain style. I mean, there's no way around it other than saying how story involved their spots were. And that's what they did.
That was very much the case.
Yes.
They told a story every time they came out and had a match.
Yes. Excellent. That's a great group, Tim. I mean, some of it goes into what I've done here. I think there's a couple of them that on my list we've repeated, but there's a few that we haven't.
I can't wait to hear this.